Welcome, everybody, back to another edition of Rational Wrestling Talk. This is the Rational Wrestling Mark, and I'm here talking about Survivor Series 2023 War Games and pretty much where does the Survivor Series rank, amongst all the other Survivor Series of the past. Now, this Survivor Series, man, we saw the return of CM Punk, Mr. Pipe Bomb himself. We saw the return of Randy Orton, the Legend Killer, and he's been out for a year and a half, I believe. Now, those two returns, man, in itself are blockbuster. Like, those two returns are going to be remembered. Because this return of Randy Orton was not just some mundane return. Like, this was a special type of return. This guy was bound to be retired, it looked like, from triple fusion back surgery, right? It looked like he was going to retire from that. And, thankfully, he looks healthy. He looks better than ever. He looked like he put on some weight, you know what I'm saying? In a good way. I mean, you know what I'm saying, building up strength. So his return, it felt special, Now, obviously, we knew that Randy Orton was going to come back. So they didn't need to make it a surprise. I think everybody was wondering, can he pull off the RKO without hurting his back? And, there seems to be no concern after, the War Games match and his one-on-one match with Dominic Mysterio on Raw. There seems to be no concern because, like I said, he looks better than ever in the ring. He hasn't missed a damn step after being gone for that long. It's pretty impressive that he's still able to pull off a good match. He can still move well in the ring in his 40s. And I do believe when he said that I got 10 more years left, I find that believable. I believe that he can go another 10 years. So, with that being said, CM Punk came back. And a lot of people were expecting for him to not show up because of all the recent news reports saying that there has been no talks between Punk and the WWE, right? That they pretty much shut all that down in terms of him returning to the ring, returning to the E, right? They pretty much shut all those rumors down and all those negotiations down. It's not happening. We have been talking to CM Punk. It's like they were just trying to get us to pretty much forget about the possibility of him showing up, which I thought, now knowing what happened, it was pretty smart to do that, to kind of work the fans a little bit, work the people. But I knew the entire time that eventually he was going to return. I just did not think it was going to happen at War Games. I was expecting maybe for him to return at the Rumble, be a surprise entrant, or return the Raw after Mania. Either one of those events would have been great for his return. But I feel like this return felt more special because it was in his hometown. And, as the show was about to go off the air, I looked at the time. It was like 10 minutes before 11. I'm like, wow, that's kind of odd. They don't really usually end the show, a pay-per-view, 10 minutes before it's you know, before it's time to actually end the show. You know, we got 10 minutes left. I wonder what's going to happen. And then as the match was over, it was like, you know, they had the whole copyrights, you know, icon showing. And then that's when you heard the theme song. That's when you heard Cult of Personality. And I gotta say, man, looking at Punk, he looks very refreshed. I can see a drastic change in his appearance from him returning to when we last saw him in AEW, right? Punk looked a little bit out of shape in AEW, right? The guy was getting hurt all the time. He looked very, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess gruffy would be the word. He looked very gruffy. When it came to his like facial hair, he looked kind of rugged, to say the least. And seeing him return and seeing him now, the guy looks like a new man. You know, he looks like he put on muscle. He looks like he's been putting in work in the gym. It just seems that he has more definition in his body, right? You know, he just had a different pep to his step. If you guys haven't noticed, but I definitely picked up on that right away. Like there's a drastic change in his appearance. He looks more healthy, right? Even on Raw, in his you know, when he came out in the main event time slot, the guy just looks overall healthy. In AEW, there was always a time where he just wasn't looking 100%. Maybe the first few months of his AEW run, yes, he was healthy, but going into his second year with the company and toward the tail end, he just looked like there was something wrong. Like physically, you know, just his appearance, you know, he didn't really look clean, you know? And I know the guy's straight edge. I know he doesn't drink and smoke, but it looked like he just wasn't like, you know, properly taking care of himself. And that's something that I came to realize. But yeah, Punk just looks better than ever, man. And you love to see it. Now, I won't get into the whole Rollins and CM Punk. I'll get into that in a different video. I'll talk about that in a different discussion. But man, his return was very special. When it comes to the War Games, the War Game matches, they were good considering that there was no blood. Now, in the women's match, you saw Shotzi unintentionally bleed just a little bit, not a lot, but the War Games, man, they definitely delivered. The women's match, I thought, was better than last year's War Games match. I thought Io looked the best out of everybody because she's been in at least 6 of these War Game matches. 6, that's a lot. She's technically like the War Games queen at this point. Right. Charlotte made her first appearance in one, as well as Shotzi. I thought this was Shotzi's opportunity to really show out and deliver. And I thought she had some impressive moments in the match. I think overall she was kind of like left behind just a little bit. She felt there was times during the match where she just felt like she wasn't even there, a little non-existent. And that's not good because, you know, you want to try to establish a new character, like a new star, right, in Shotzi. Like if you want to put her on the same level as a Becky Becky and Charlotte and Bianca, you got to have her show out. You know, you got to give her more opportunities to develop her character. And I feel like right now she has a pretty good character going, going on right now. This craze, just a little bit, bipolar type of character where she's crazy, I guess, and a little psychotic, right? We need more character development when it comes to Shotzi, right? Becky and Bianca and Charlotte, they're already established. They're already developed. And then on the other side, you had Damage Control. They've been around for a minute. And it looks to me like, after them losing, it looks like they finna kick Bayley out of Damage Control, which is pretty obvious at this point. This was Kairi Sane's first pay-per-view match back. And I don't know, for some reason, I just didn't really see much of her. I didn't really see much of Kairi Sane in this match. I think she had one decent spot in the match, but it was almost like with Shotzi. It's like she wasn't seen as much. You know what I'm saying? Kairi Sane wasn't much of a presence in the match. But Io, to me, was the star of the match. With that whole, her covering her, her putting that trash can over her body and, on top of the cage, doing the cross body with the trash can on top of her and stuff, covered with that. That was pretty cool. I never seen that one before. But yeah, I think overall it delivered. There was some storyline, some story context in the match when it came to Becky and Charlotte, hashing things out, reuniting. I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, I have nothing really bad to say about it except the fact that Shotzi and Kairi Sane, they weren't much of a presence in the match for the most part. And when it comes to Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee, man, that had a lot of potential to steal the show right there. I mean, that's a luchador match right there. Originally he was supposed to face Carlito, and it sucks that we didn't get Carlito in this match because this would have been his first singles pay-per-view match in like 12, 13 years, I guess. And man, when it comes to Carlito, what are we doing not giving him back his theme song? Like, Carlito doesn't feel like Carlito if he doesn't have I Spit in the Face of People Who Don't Want to Be Cool theme song. Like, what's this new theme song that he got going on? It's I'm sorry, it's garbage. It's garbage. I just have to call like it is. Like, his new theme music is garbage, man. You can say for no pun intended, but his theme song is not cool. It's not cool. It's trash. And we need to get back his original theme music ASAP. ASAP. I'm telling you, Carlito is not Carlito without his theme music, bro. I'm telling you. That theme music was iconic back in the day. Very iconic. So, yeah, Dragon Lee and Santos, they put on a decent match. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I thought it was a good way to like give Dragon Lee some exposure. Obviously, he was not going to win against Santos, who seems to be on his way of getting the push of a lifetime right now. Not only did he take out Rey Mysterio turn his back on LWO. But it seems to me that he's getting his own faction pretty soon. That's great. And Santos Escobar as a heel, it just feels natural. That's where he can shine the most, right? And I feel like we haven't begun to see exactly what he's really capable of in the ring yet. We've yet to see the best of Santos Escobar. And it looks to me like they're building up toward a WrestleMania match between him and Rey Mysterio. And hey, that's gonna be a banger right there. But also when you talk about like Survivor Series, you know, this version of Survivor Series, it definitely set up a lot of stuff for WrestleMania. And WrestleMania is only like 6 months away, but it set up so much. Like, it just set the table for what we can expect. Like, I feel like coming out of this Survivor Series, I feel like you can literally book or predict half of the WrestleMania 40 card already. Like, seriously, coming out of the Survivor Series, I can pretty much book and predict half of the WrestleMania card. Accurately too. Accurately. Like, it's obvious to me that we're getting CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Obviously. It's obvious to me that Randy Orton is most likely going to feud with somebody in the bloodline. More likely Solo Sikoa, right? Santos versus Rey at Mania. Bayley versus Damage Control, or what's the new group's name? I guess when they kick out Bayley, they'll eventually turn into a different group, and also when they kick out Dakota Kai as well, with Io, Asuka, and Kairi, they'll be considered a new group. So I guess Bayley will be going up against that new group, right? Yeah, this Survivor Series to me was just a banger. It really was. I thought the women's match could have been better. You know, for what Triple H has to work with, there's a lot of people on this roster, a lot of stars that aren't stars yet. Like, they're not legit yet. They're not on that level, not yet. They got a lot of development to do when it comes to this new crop of talent that we're now seeing every week on Raw and SmackDown. To kind of, like, you know, and also with the returning stars as well, it's like you also have to work on reintroducing them to a new audience, right? So that's a very tough task for Triple H and the creative team. But I thought Zoe Stark, although she's not a good promo, not yet at least, I thought in the ring she looked pretty good. I thought her and Rhea tried to put on a hell of a match. It didn't really meet my expectations, but they could have done better. I feel like this match had me wanting more from it. But man, Rhea Ripley is just a star. It's like when she comes out by herself, it's like you just know that this woman is a star. She carries herself like one. Gave me a little bit of Chyna vibes with that outfit. With that leather chap outfit that she had on at Survivor Series. Gave me a little bit of Chyna vibes. And she's definitely over, no doubt in my mind. And you know, fuck it, man. We might as well just keep that belt on Rhea Ripley for a while. I don't know if I would have her drop it at WrestleMania. I would have her keep it for a long time. You know, have her be one of the longest reigning women's champions of this era. like they did with Bianca Belair. You know, Bianca Belair had a long reigning championship reign. I think Rhea Ripley should have the same long reign as well. You know, like Becky and Bianca had in the past. You know, she should be the next one to have a long reign with the belt. Don't take it off her yet. You know, until somebody is ready, that someone that's over with the crowd to take it off of her. Right now, there's really nobody yet. There's really nobody that can take that belt off of Rhea. You know. And then trying to think. Oh yeah, Gunther versus The Miz for the IC title. Now, when I saw that they were turning Miz babyface, I thought to myself, this is not going to work because Miz, as a babyface, it doesn't really do well. Historically, like they tried in the past to turn to, you know, make Miz a babyface. They tried that twice. One time in, I believe in 2012, 2013, randomly out of nowhere, they turned him face. That was a flop. And then again in 2019, when he fought against Shane McMahon. Now that had potential. But after the Shane feud, Miz did not feel like he didn't feel important as a babyface. It's like it just became very very boring, and it just felt forced after that Shane feud. So now again, they're trying again with The Miz as a face. But one thing I like about Miz as a face this time around, it's not forced. It feels like he is still keeping some of his heel tendencies and still cutting promos like a heel, right? But he's still a face, right? I don't know. I think he's more like a tweener, in my opinion. He's more like a tweener. You know, Miz will never be a fully fledged babyface in his career because historically he has always been a fantastic heel. A fantastic heel. Like the guy doesn't miss when it comes to being a heel. Like if there's any upcoming wrestler that's trying to be a heel and they're a rookie at this, they need to watch The Miz. Seriously, they need to watch The Miz. But he does not make a good babyface. He just doesn't. Now, Gunther held his own when it came to talking. You know, shooting bars with The Miz on the mic. Gunther, at this point, I don't even want him to lose the IC belt. I'm dead serious. Like at this point, because I see that the main event scene right now is kind of crowded. So keeping that IC title on him until maybe WrestleMania is smart. I still don't know who's going to beat Gunther. But I thought Gunther and Miz, from the low expectations coming in, I thought they delivered. I thought they put out a decent, watchable match. The fact that, you know, they had Miz pretty much almost beat Gunther. I mean, it took Gunther by submission to beat The Miz. And one thing I like about Gunther matches and what makes them so unique is he can beat you in various ways, not just by a power bomb, but he can beat you by submissions. He can either tap you out with a sleeper hold, a heel hook. You saw at Money in the Bank this past year, he beat Matt Riddle with a heel hook, right? And then he beat The Miz with I want to say, modified Boston leg crab. the lion tamer, like Chris Jericho's lion tamer when he had the Boston Crab, but he has the knee kind of pointed on the back of his opponent, right? Like kind of like on their neck, the knee on the neck of his opponent. I thought that was pretty innovative, and yeah, it just shows that Gunther can beat you in multiple ways. And at this point, any Gunther match feels important. Like, no matter who he's facing at this point, Gunther, anytime he wrestles, it's a big deal. It's a big deal now. Because a guy that can beat you in various ways, in my opinion, and he's undefeated, he looks like a legit killer in the ring, and he's very believable too. That's someone that deserves to have their matches feel special, like a big fight feel. Kind of like with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, his matches always felt special because he's legit. He's going to kick some ass. He's going to drop you on your head multiple times with those German suplexes. He can legitimately make you tap out. There's a believability factor with Gunther as well, which is why I think Brock and Gunther could be feuding with each other for WrestleMania. I don't want to put that out there. That could happen or that could not happen. We'll see what happens with that, But in the men's war game match, honestly, it didn't really do anything for me as a fan, except the very ending. I thought the story coming into that match, well, multiple stories was, okay, there's a possibility that Damian Priest could cash in the Money in the Bank contract on Seth in War Games. And I like the fact that they went for that. Also, Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso. Drew hates Jey based on what happened at Clash at the Castle last year, where the Bloodline cost Drew the Universal title, and he still holds a grudge against Jey Uso to this day. And so, him want to just take out Jey Uso, him want to always get his hands on Jey, and he just hates him so much, it makes for good TV. Like, you want to see Drew kind of kill Jey, but also at the same time, you want to see Jey, fight back and not be a victim, right? Not see him just cowardly, be a coward and just be punked out by Drew. Jey has his own story as well, trying to win back the locker room. Because of him being associated with the Bloodline, they caused an entire rift with the locker room, right? And Jey is trying to redeem himself, but Drew is not buying it. So seeing Drew, just his entire intent of teaming with the Judgment Day was to go against Jey the entire time, had nothing to do with Seth, had nothing to do with Sammy or Cody or Randy Orton, had everything to do with getting back at Jey, right? And then you also had Randy Orton returning. At first, he wasn't seen. They were kind of teasing him not being there, him not showing up. So it created it created a lot of anticipation for his music to hit at the end of the match, toward the end of the match. And him not being there first, it was smart, because it just, like I said, the anticipation only built it up until he came out and started, wrecking shop, right? And I really can't remember the best parts of the match. Um, except that RKO midair where Rollins and Zayn threw JD McDonough off the top of the cage into a freaking RKO. Man, shout out to JD McDonough for taking that like a champ. He took one hell of a bump. One hell of a damn bump with that RKO. I mean, that took some guts to take that RKO, but he took it like a damn champ. That's what you call a professional right there. You know? But overall, I thought the match was okay. In my opinion, I thought the women's War Game match was better than this, was better than the men's War Game match. The only best parts about the match was Randy Orton returning in that RKO spot. And Drew wanted to kill Jay. And that's about it. And then you had Punk's historic return, where no one saw it coming. Everybody was just shocked to see him return. And I thought this Survivor Series, it definitely set things up for WrestleMania season. You can definitely predict half of the card for WrestleMania 40 just watching coming out of Survivor Series. Like, seriously, man. So in my opinion, this Survivor Series will go down as one of the greatest of all time. I don't know if you could put it at number one. If I had to make a top five, if I had a top five, I would probably put it. I'll probably put it at number two. Number two, in my opinion, though, right? If I had a top five greatest Survivor Series of all time, I put this Survivor Series at number two. Yeah. So I think it ranks pretty high up there. I think for a lot of fans, I think this one ranks up pretty high with all the other Survivor Series. So with that being said, give me your thoughts down below. Been on here long enough. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit that like button for the algorithm. And more content is to come. More wrestling talk. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Survivor Series War Games of this year. Where do you think it ranks amongst all the other Survivor Series? Give me your thoughts down below, and I'm out. Peace.